Today, we're breaking down the top key moments in the Tucker Carlson podcast, hosted by Tucker Carlson with guest Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is the host of The Charlie Kirk Show and the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA, the largest conservative youth movement in America. Was Russiagate a media hoax? Tucker Carlson questions the origins of Russiagate, calling it a manufactured narrative that dominated the media to smear Trump.
All of a sudden, out of nowhere, we all hate Russia and Trump is a Russian agent, something that no one had ever said before. And then it just saturated the media, and it was the only topic for a couple of years.
Yes.
And no one ever kind of went back to examine, how?
The war right now happening between Russia and Ukraine and the West's support of it actually was an extension of Russiagate. Part of one of the unintended consequences of Russiagate was how it was desensitizing the Democrat Party to hate Russia.
Russiagate fueled Ukraine war. Charlie Kirk links Russiagate to U.S. involvement in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, arguing it conditioned Democrats to hate Russia.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Because part of one of the unintended consequences of Russiagate, not unintended, I think actually intended, but unintended from our perspective because we were so focused on the Trump component, was how it was desensitizing the Democrat Party to hate Russia. If you think about it, Donald Trump was the worst villain ever in the history of the world, according to the Democrat Party. So they needed to have an explanation as to how this guy won. Because of course it can't be the fact that they deindustrialized Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, flooded the country with a bunch of illegals and allowed opioids into the country. There must be another reason. So they tried Cambridge Analytica first. Do you remember that was the first attempt?
Yes.
The Cambridge Analytica thing, that it was Donald Trump's ability to get in the back end of Facebook. That's why he won. But that didn't really satisfy the Democrats. And so simultaneously, we know this because the Russia narrative came ex nihilo. It came out of nowhere.
Why Democrats hated Russia post-Russiagate. Kirk explains how Russiagate shifted the anti-war Democrat base to support Ukraine funding by demonizing Russia.
And if you hate Trump, you therefore must also hate Putin and Russia. So fast forward to Putin's invasion of Ukraine, you had the entire Democrat Party and the base of the Democrat Party that used to be anti-war, that used to be where the Ben & Jerry's guy was. You had him on your show, it was great. But the rank and file kind of had a subdued response at best to the financing of the Russian-Ukrainian war, largely because of Russiagate. Because so many base members of the Democrat Party and the activists were led to believe that Donald Trump only became president because of the assistance of the Kremlin.
So smart. And can I just add one parenthetical note that a lot of them were pro-Russia when it was Soviet.
Correct.
Because the Soviet Union was above all anti-Christian. And then when the country became Orthodox again, it was easy to hate it.
Intel agencies sabotaged Trump's presidency. Kirk claims U.S. intelligence agencies used Russiagate to undermine Trump's first term and influence elections.
It goes back to how our intel agencies were then used inwardly against us. And that has really been the story the last 30 to 40 years, and you deserve a lot of credit for covering this, which is our intel services are supposed to gather intelligence and defend the homeland and to keep us domestically safe. But it turns out they're actually more about picking winners and losers in American elections and to thwart the will of popular sovereignty. So I hope that we get to the bottom of this because we are still dealing with the real world ramifications. You have to wonder how many Ukrainians and Russians, by the way, because people are dying on both sides of this war that are made in the image of God, are unnecessarily dead because of what our intel services did in 2016 and 2017.
Obama knew Russiagate was fake? A declassified report ordered by Obama allegedly showed no Russian election interference, yet the narrative persisted.
And I think the reason they didn't is because they had just spent the last 3 years hearing about how Putin was the worst person in the world. He was our main enemy. Not the Chinese, actually. Not the Indians. Not anybody else. No, it was Russia. So do you expect that people will be held accountable for it?
I hope so. I mean, look, I don't know what's in the details. I don't know what's in the documents. We kind of have a little bit of a teaser. We saw last week what Tulsi said. She said there's more coming. And basically what we learned last week, for everyone that was hopefully enjoying your summer, not glued to your phone, nonstop over the weekend, we learned that Obama personally ordered an intel report. It's like, hey, was it true that Russia was behind this election? And from my understanding, the report said, no, Russia was not behind this election, did not manipulate votes. Trump was not elected because of Russia. This was in December of 2016 in a private classified intel briefing that is now declassified thanks to Director of National Intelligence Tulsi.
FBI and CIA colluded against Trump. Kirk reveals how the FBI and CIA allegedly collaborated on Russiagate, using a Democrat-funded dossier to spy on Trump.
Just remember, he was going back and forth with his, with his lover, Lisa Page, where he was saying, hey, don't worry, we have an insurance policy. You have to wonder what exactly was that. And my contention is that that was the Russiagate situation, that they had this dossier paid for by the Democrat Party with Clinton funds to then illegally be able to spy on the Trump campaign. As an extension of that, create this entire narrative. And, part of what also needs to be said is how much of Trump 1 was stolen from President Trump and the mandate of the people because of Russia. It's very funny. I was thinking about where was I and where were we as a country back in July of 2017, 6 months into Trump's term back in Trump 1. We had Jeff Sessions basically completely sidelined. I have to recuse myself.
Russiagate stole Trump's first term. Kirk argues Russiagate consumed Trump's first term, forcing him to defend against false allegations while the deep state ran the show.
He was constantly having to defend himself. He had Mueller looking into Manafort, looking into Cohen, looking into all of his close associates, which of course the report came out and showed no collusion, and all stemming from a lie. And that's the kicker. So to answer your question, I hope people start to go to jail. We need perp walks, we need handcuffs, we need mass arrests, because you're not allowed to steal precious time of a presidency away from the American people that otherwise would have been spent on governing.
You have such a good memory. One of the advantages of
and we did no prep on this.
31. No, not at all. I just threw
10
it at
seconds
you.
before I
No,
said
I'm impressed.
Does the deep state run America? Kirk and Carlson expose the unaccountable administrative state and intel agencies as a shadow government undermining democracy.
This is now the big fight in front of Trump 2. And everyone knows it. We ran on it. We said it. And I think we're now going to get massive action in that direction from hopefully Cash and Dan and Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, the whole gang. They're focused on this. And I think they're looking for the right place to strike, which is who actually runs this government.
Exactly.
The first term, we were kind of under this very naive idea that the people run the government.
That's what I thought.
And then we were like, well, it's the lobbyists. And you're right.
Right,
yes,
exactly.
remember?
It's the lobbyists.
It's
K
Monsanto.
Street.
Right, it's right. K Street. It's like, yeah, okay. But
so true.
But after, I think, 7 or 8 years, and it's taken time, we're finally back to where a lot of the Hillsdale crowd has been, and Dr. Larry Arnn has been, to his great credit. It's the administrative state and the intel agencies.
Yes.
It's this fourth branch of government that the founders never created, they never designed, there was no intent.
Is Congress protecting the CIA? Carlson questions why the Senate Intel Committee, led by Tom Cotton, fails to hold the CIA accountable, hinting at a cover-up.
And what about his constituents in Arkansas? What about the rest of us? Why isn't the guy in charge of keeping the CIA's behavior within constitutional bounds accountable to the President of the United States? Why isn't he doing that? And I just find it enormous. And I know that there are lots of good things about Tom Cotton. He's a nice guy. He's very smart. But what the hell? Why does no one say that?
And let me say this also. There are whispers that this next bill is going to be passed, whatever perfunctory bill they have to pass, is going to try to neuter DNI. Is that they want to try to wall off
CIA
Liberty Crossing.
wants Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Kent, and the other people, the director of National Intelligence, and that whole
apparatus,
which was created after 9/11.
Which is hilarious because it was created by the worst people.
Exactly.
And now it's actually it's a central nervous system for us to look under the hood, and they know it.
Tulsi exposes Russiagate truth. Kirk praises Tulsi Gabbard's efforts to uncover the truth behind Russiagate, revealing deep state tactics against Trump.
Huge.
I know.
And God bless her for doing this. And I know the president cares about it personally, as he should, because how much of his life and his energy was just spent defending against a fabrication, not a fabrication of the Chinese Communist Party, by the way, not a fabrication of our adversaries, a fabrication of our own government. That's what makes this so sinister, is that our own government was turned against the duly elected president. So here we are now in the year of our Lord 2025. Who's running the United States government?
Great question.
And President Trump, he is now the hunter. He was the hunted back in the first term. I know what the grassroots want. I know what President Trump wants. We need perp walks, we need arrests, we need accountability. And if we do not smash the administrative state and the deep state in the coming 6 to 12 months, then we're not gonna bring this entire intelligence apparatus to.
What happened on July 13th? Kirk and Carlson speculate on the mysterious July 13th incident, questioning why the FBI is stonewalling on critical details.
Five Eyes, we're going to rely on our foreign partners to spy on Americans domestically because we can't do that, and they'll share the intelligence. And so a lot of focus kind of goes on, let's just say, the lazy slop of the people at the Department of Interior. Okay, fine. We can clean that up. God bless the people that want to do that. But if we do not focus the energy of this movement on the administrative state, then we are going to have elections in name only. And I know the president understands this because he lived through a thwarted first term largely because of the intel agencies and what we would like to call the shadow government.
No, Trump has 97 charges against him, all in?
Yes. And we still don't know what happened on July 13th.
We certainly don't at Butler. That's exactly right. Why don't we know that? Do you know?
I don't know. And I know that we have the right, we could not have better people in those positions.
At the top.
Like, Dan Bongino well. I could speak very high for his integrity.
Oh, I love Dan. Yeah.
And so they need to act on this.
Gen Z's economic despair fuels radicalism. Kirk warns that economic struggles are pushing Gen Z towards political extremism, citing figures like Zoran Mamdani.
So a couple things. Number one, the rise of Mamdani should be it's a coming attraction of what is coming next.
Who's Mamdani?
Zoran Mamdani, the Muslim communist that is running for mayor in New York City. Who obviously there's a whole rabbit hole we can go down there. He just looks kind of be like central casting, and his ideas are terrible. He wants the city to run the grocery stores, all that. But I think everyone's not everyone, but most people are missing the point of really what this is. This is yet another distress signal by young people to say, hey, if you're not going to fix our life economically, we're going to get very radical politically. Now let's take a step back. President Trump won the youth vote in many states across the country, in many battleground states. Now, Tucker, 12, 13 years ago when I started Turning Point, if you would have told me that a Republican running for the presidency would be winning the youth vote in Michigan and in Arizona, I'd say no.
Why can't Gen Z afford homes? Kirk breaks down soaring home prices, making ownership unattainable for Gen Z, fueling economic frustration.
Own a home. We know this, but how much harder? Back when my parents had to go own a home, the price of a home...
How old are your parents?
They're early 70s,
Yep.
So late 60s, early 70s. So baby boomers.
Yeah.
And great parents, by the way, phenomenal upbringing, great values. So back when they wanted to go buy a home, in their beginning income years, 1970s, 1980s, home prices were on average about 3 times the average income in America. They are now 7 times the average income in America. Rents have gone up inflation adjusted from about $900 a month to now about $1,500 a month.
Inflation adjusted.
Inflation adjusted. The age of a first-time home buyer in 2008 was 30 years old. It is now 38 years old. First-time home buyer. So when we have a picture of a first-time home buyer,
and that's scary.
You think of, kind of a toddler in one arm, a dog, you're trying to figure it out. 38 years old. So what is causing this? Well, number one, I don't want to get like too Ron Paul libertarian, but the Federal Reserve pumping in cheap money post-2008 has just been a catastrophe. We have spent too much money.
Buy a pizza on credit? Kirk exposes the predatory buy now, pay later trend where Gen Z finances everyday purchases due to economic hardship.
Buy a pizza on credit?
Yes.
It's happening now?
You can go to Instacart right now, and either through Klarna, Affirm, or Afterpay. Those are the 3 big actors. These are non-credit regulated bureaus.
Shut those fuckers down tomorrow.
Predatory debt traps Gen Z. Kirk and Carlson discuss how companies like Klarna exploit young people with easy credit for basic purchases, creating a debt trap.
But to do that to young people who really, I'm 56 and I'm still terrible with money. It's hard. And I don't think I'm not lazy, and I don't think I'm profligate, but I also think I'm easily fooled because I'm distracted. And if I was 21, imagine how much more unsophisticated I would be and how much more vulnerable to predatory behavior like that. And everything is so easy because everything is digital now. I mean, that's an awful thing to do to young people.
And it creates a subterranean debt market that a lot of these young people think this is how you pay for stuff. They haven't been educated otherwise. They're like, oh yeah, I'll just, pay for that meal in 5 installments.
What are the interest rates?
Amnesty push betrays Trump's mandate. Kirk warns of a Republican-led amnesty bill by Maria Elvira Salazar that could undermine Trump's deportation plans.
Well, firstly, the president has said no amnesty, which is great to hear, and I'm glad he's saying that. He should keep on saying it because he ran on that. And so I was not surprised when he said it, but he needs to say it. But look at Maria Elvira Salazar. I think that's her name, right? She came out the other day and she is pushing an amnesty bill through Congress. I have a text from a U.S. senator that you and I both respect. And he said, look, there's whispers that are now becoming real conversations and chatter of amnesty. And think of how sick and dark this is. We passed one big, beautiful bill, which is by far the greatest fortification of the southern border, the greatest deportation effort that we need. I mean, it's legit investment to get the deportations that we voted for. And that the ink is not even yet dry of President Trump's signature. And almost simultaneously, we're hearing about amnesty. And so, look, Maria Elvira Salazar, she's saying, well, if they've been here more than 5 years, it's not a pathway to citizenship.
Why is Congress obsessed with amnesty? Kirk and Carlson questioned why some Republicans push amnesty despite voter opposition, focusing on Maria Elvira Salazar.
Anyway, stop.
When she does this ridiculous thing, she says, we're going to try to have this Solomonic compromise of splitting the baby, which, by the way, it's not even what happened in 1 Kings. It's a whole separate issue we could talk.
So why would you want to cut a baby in half, you freak?
She literally said that on TV. I don't know if you saw that clip.
She's obviously dark.
Yeah. But also, the fascination of the ruling class when it comes to amnesty is very, very sinister. And
it's like abortion. They just can't give it up.
It really is. And I've had amnesty pitched to me multiple times in every one of the ruling class havens you can imagine. I never get amnesty pitched to me on either a college campus from like a work or like in Columbus, Ohio. Like when I go to a football game, no one's pitching me amnesty.
But they never want amnesty there's never amnesty for bank robbers or drug dealers or people convicted of hate crimes, I notice.
Corporations want cheap immigrant labor. Kirk debunks claims that mass immigration is needed for agriculture, arguing corporations push it for cheap labor.
Then
the corporate titans, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so the ag one is interesting because we're told that we need to have mass immigration or else the crops will rot in the field, which is interesting because I thought we're going through like a moment of mass automation right now.
I kind of thought that.
So what's the argument now for mass immigration if robotics is going to take over everything?
Well, Elon just sent a video out this morning of a robot making popcorn. So if a robot can make popcorn, he can pick lettuce, I think.
I would imagine. So maybe it's not about picking the crops. Maybe it's about the fact they want to change the demographics of this country.
Yeah.
And but secondly, the hospitality one, maybe, I guess, sure. How about this? Hire Americans and pay them more. There's a 7% young male unemployment rate. Remember, I said that earlier? Wait a second, 7% unemployment used to be called a crisis in this country. That was during the Great Recession. Remember, we got up to 8 to 9% unemployment. So maybe we should go hire some of the young men that are on the sidelines of this economy and make this a nation again, not just an economic dumping ground.
Mass migration destroys morale. Kirk and Carlson discuss how mass migration, like in the UK, demoralizes native populations, making them feel like conquered.
Their morale is down. They believe goofy and weird stuff.
Oh, I agree.
They almost have this strange fetish in London that they like being conquered.
Oh, yeah.
That they're like enjoying the slow motion rape of their country.
Invade me harder.
No, like
Daddy.
It's like, no, seriously.
Oh, I agree.
It's like this weird sexual attitude, like, yes, Islamist, come into my country. Like, what?
No.
And it's just, I don't know what that is, but I will say this, though. I will make a hypothesis, though.
It's the immigration cuck, I think we would say.
No, it is, though. But
no.
A secular nation cucks out, for sure.
100%.
And so what does that mean? When you don't believe in a divine power, I mean, they're super secular in the UK. Then all of a sudden they need to have some sort of belief system. So their reason for being is that their master is some Mohammedan from Afghanistan.
It's totally right.
And again, I debated at Oxford and Cambridge back in May. These are broken, conquered cities and towns. They're completely unrecognizable.
Deportations Are Working. Kirk shares evidence of self-deportations in Arizona, predicting Trump's policies could deport 10 million people this term.
And so CNN just did a special of a guy and his family that's self-deporting from Pittsburgh, adios. So look, I think the goal needs to be 10 million this term. 10 million would be a massive accomplishment. That would make the country a considerably and measurably better place.
Is there any effort or even conversation about getting the refugee system under control?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, I think that, first of all, it's a scam.
Why do we owe refugee status to anyone? No one's ever explained that.
I don't know if again, this is a really important point. Almost all of the excesses, mass migration, refugee, is because the left has weaponized inherited Christian principles against us. So we as Christians, we have an open-heartedness towards refugees. It says what we should do that in the scriptures. Doesn't mean that we should do that blindly. So what the left does is they take good-hearted Western Christian beliefs and they totally weaponize them for their kind of remake the body politic.
Thanks for watching. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, it really helps if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one.